Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be starting sort of my wrap-up video. I've just finished my latest read, and that is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. I am reading this for the SFF Awards. It was nominated into the middle grade category, which is one that I'm judging, and I was pleasantly surprised. I hadn't heard about this book before I picked it up or before it was shortlisted, so I didn't really know what I was getting into, and after reading the first chapter I was a bit hesitant. It didn't feel like it made sense. I wasn't sure I liked the main character. It had a male protagonist, which if you watch my channel you'll know that I really often struggle with. And so I went in with a little bit of trepidation, but as I carried on reading I got sucked into the story and I really ended up enjoying it. It's about a family called the Reddings. They live in this small town where they are basically, they're the founding family, they're the richest family, they've got everything they want. But Prosper is a twin with his sister Prue, and actually he's a little bit shunned. People aren't very nice to him, he's not particularly good at anything. He's a little bit of an outcast, a bit of the black sheep of the family. And then one night him and his sister go to what they think is a party, and something happens which leads to events occurring and him in hiding. And it turns out that his great ancestor had made a deal with a malefactor, which to me sounds a little bit like a demon, but it's someone that you make a contract with. And so when you make a contract with a malefactor you can make it for any number of reasons, but the contract then means that this malefactor, I think, gets your spirit when you die, or gets part of you and feeds off you. I really enjoyed this sort of this element to it, and the world that she created and the lore and everything behind that I thought was really well fleshed out, and not too sort of, it wasn't very much, you know, she wasn't telling you everything. There was a lot of showing, and I really enjoyed that rather than just these massive info dumps, so that was really good. There was a twist towards the end which I didn't see coming, and normally I do see them coming, so I was quite pleased. That was like a little bit of an added bonus. It ended on a bit of a cliffhanger where I feel like we might be getting a book 2 in this, so I'm looking forward to, I will definitely pick it up. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, so far it isn't top of the list because Nevermore by Jessica Townsend was a 5-star read for me, but a real strong 4 stars, and so definitely second on my list so far, but there's still more in the category to read. While I'm here, I'm just going to quickly mention a book I read last month. I actually ended up listening to it on audio, and that is The Bells by Donielle Clayton. I was very kindly sent this by the publisher for an honest review. I ended up using one of my Audible credits to download the audiobook because I wanted to listen to it, and I really enjoyed this more than I thought as well. I ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. The story of this is it's set in a world where everybody is grey, and there is a group of women that every year called the Bells, who are trained from birth to be able to give people colour, to change them. They can change the size of their waist, they can change the shape of their face, they can change the colour of their skin, how their hair looks, and it's a painful procedure, but everybody goes through it. And obviously you've got your hierarchy. The people that are richer can have more procedures done and look better, and there is conspiracies and things aren't quite as they seem. And I really liked the look at this sort of obsession with beauty and this obsession with the way people look. I thought that was a really interesting topic to sort of look at and look at human nature through. So again, I enjoyed this one and gave this one 4 stars as well. And then before I go, and I will probably put together a few clips of different reviews as I finish books, I just want to talk about a book that I was sent recently by the publisher, which is State of Sorrow by Melinda Salisbury. I'm really looking forward to trying this one. It says on the back that sorrow, for that is all she brings us. A people laid low by grief and darkness, a cutthroat race for power and victory, a girl with everything and nothing to lose. By day, sorrow governs the court of tears, covering for her grief maddened father who has turned their once celebrated land into a living monument for the brother who died before she was born. By night she seeks solace in the arms of the boy she's loved since childhood, but one ghost won't stop haunting her, and when enemies old and new close ranks against her, sorrow must decide how far she is willing to go to win. Be swept away by the dark and dangerous new world, from Melinda Salisbury. And she obviously wrote the Sin Eater's Daughter trilogy, which I read the first one of and I wasn't 100% sold on, but I have got all 3 of on my shelf, so I will be going back to read them. So thank you so much to them for sending me this. And then not being in book jail, because I picked off my community chest and I ended up picking the Treat Yourself to a New Book, a free book token. And so I saw this recently in a trip to Waterstones with my daughter and I got it. And it is Other Minds, The Octopus and the Evolution of Intelligent Life by Peter Godfrey Smith. This is non-fiction, and the bookseller told me that it's got really good anecdotes. It talks about like intelligent life on Earth, and it talks about the octopus in particular, and looks about, it says what kind of intelligence do octopus possess, how did the octopus, a solitary creature with little social life, become so smart, what is it like to have 8 tentacles that are so packed with neurons they virtually think for themselves. By tracing the questions of inner life back to its roots and comparing human beings with our most remarkable animal relatives, Godfrey Smith casts crucial new light on the octopus mind and on our own. So I'm really excited about this one. And then I am currently in book jail because I bought myself a book, but more on that when I come back to review it next. Okay, so it's actually later the same evening. It's quite late now, but I have been pretty addicted to the book I picked up earlier. I mentioned about being in book jail, and that is because I treated myself to Roomies by Christina Lauren. I just heard about this so much, I'd really wanted to read it. I saw it when I was out and I just picked it up and went for it. So I've been in book jail, so this won't count towards any of my bookopoly, but I read it in a day. I thought this was just a really lovely, romancy, heartwarming, seductive story. It's set in New York City and we're following Holland, who just feels a little bit lost. She's got a creative writing degree, and she has her uncle who is married to quite a famous producer of I think it's stage shows and musicals, and she just absolutely adores them. They practically brought her up, and she works backstage and selling t-shirts for them, and they help pay most of the rent on her apartment, and she just feels a little bit meh, like not much is going on. And the one thing that she's got is that there is a busker at her local subway station that she has a massive crush on. She thinks his music is amazing and she thinks he's amazing. And so she goes out of her way to go past him and knows when he plays at the subway, and just to sort of listen to him play. And events transpire, which means that their paths cross, and she helps him with something, and that sort of stumbles them into the next sort of phase of the book. So it's not a spoiler, I've just checked to tell you that in order for Calvin, the busker who she puts forward to play quite a large role in her uncle's show, he is illegally in the country. He's Irish, he's illegally over there for 4 years, he hasn't got a visa, and so in order to be able to be in the show, which is his like dream, she offers to marry him. They haven't dated or anything, he doesn't really know her at all. She has an attraction to him, and obviously she's heard him play music, but she feels like he would be amazing in the show, so she does it selflessly for both her uncle and for him. And so starts our story of these two in a marriage of convenience in order to gain a visa, and it's just following that really in their relationship and their lives and her life unfolding. And it's more than just the romance about them and the will they, won't they, and that side of it. We're really following Holland and trying to discover who she is and who is she when she's not around these other people, and what is her thing. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So as I say, it was a real easy read. I couldn't put it down. I wouldn't say that it was mind-blowing, but it definitely had me hooked and gripped, and so I gave it a really strong 4 stars and would definitely recommend, and it was worth going to book jail for the day. So I will be back again when I've read my next book. So I'll see you in a bit. Hi guys, so it's quite a bit later, and by quite a bit I mean days later, maybe more than a week, and I wanted to make sure that I'd finished the next book before I wrapped up these few reviews that I've been doing. I've just read Scythe by Neil Schusterman. This was recommended to me extremely highly by Janet from Swirly Girly Reads. She loved it, so much so that she sent herself to book jail to read book 2. And I loved it so much so that I'm sending myself to book jail. I've just ordered book 2. So when that arrives, I will be in jail and I will read that with relish. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it 5 stars. I just thought it was a great book. And although it took me nearly a week to read, it was a week where I just really didn't want to overread. I wanted to read a small amount each day and just really savour what was being talked about, because yes, it has a strong plot and it's a fast plot and there's lots going on, but also there's these little sort of nods to politics and intrigue there, and little nods to real life and how close we are to certain things. And yeah, maybe I should tell you a little bit about what it's about. So we start the book and we learn that we're in a world where there's such a thing as scythes. Now this entity called Thunderhead has taken over, and it's almost as if the internet has become all-seeing, all-powerful, and has taken over as there's no politicians, there's no rulers, there's no kings and queens. It's the Thunderhead that makes all of the decisions, apart from when it comes to the scythes, because they've discovered the way of staying alive forever. These healing nanites, if you break your leg, you're healed within minutes. If you die by jumping in front of a train, they take you to a revival centre and your body heals. So there is no way to die apart from if you are gleaned. And to be gleaned, you have to be gleaned by a scythe. Now, scythes are a separate thing to Thunderhead, which is the internet, the all-seeing, all-powerful, godlike thing in the world. And the scythes were created in order to keep the population at a manageable level. Obviously the Thunderhead realised that there wasn't the world is limited in its space, and there's nothing you can do about that. And so a certain number of people need to be killed or gleaned completely every year in order for population and life to continue to thrive and to continue. And so the scythedom was set up. And in order to become a scythe, you're taken on as an apprentice scythe, and you have to go and become apprentice to somebody that works as a scythe already. There's rules and regulations, but really these sort of 10 commandments are the only things that you're held accountable to. And in this story, we're following Rowan and Citra. They are both very unexpectedly taken on as apprentices to a scythe. It's kind of unheard of to have 2 apprentices at a time, and so they are kind of pitted against each other in certain ways. And I don't want to spoil any more than that, but we're just following these 2 people. They're discovering what it takes to be a scythe. They're discovering the inner corrupt politics of scythes and looking at the good and evil, and those that are good at the job, those that are in it for possibly the wrong reasons. And I just really enjoyed discovering this world through the eyes of these 2, and I really enjoyed the twists and turns. I was really invested in these characters and longed to know what was going to happen at the end and what's going to happen next. So a thoroughly deserving 5 stars, one I would definitely recommend if you've been umming and ahhing. Now, I didn't enjoy Neil Schusterman's Unwind series, so I would, and I know a lot of people do love that, but I would say if you didn't enjoy his Unwind, don't be put off trying this, because I really, like I say, it's a 5-star brilliant book, and I DNF'd the first book in the Unwind series. It just really wasn't for me, and this was on a different level for me. So a big 5, which I'm really excited about because it's taken forever to find a 5-star read. So I'm going to have to blow kisses to Janet because she helped me. She really helped me out there. Anyway, that is some of the books that I've been reading recently. Have you read any of these? What are your thoughts on them? And let's chat in the comments as always. Bye for now, BookTube.